Hey everybody, and welcome back to Gambling Flow. It's your host Russell Kane here to guide you through another deep dive into the world of gambling. And joining me as always is the insightful Fiona Blake, our resident expert in all things gaming.
Pleasure to be here, as always, Russell.
Today we're taking a look behind the curtain. It's something you interact with all the time, but might not fully understand. The inner workings of online casinos. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the thrill of the game. But have you ever stopped to think about all the work that goes on behind the scenes to make that experience possible?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a whole industry, a complex ecosystem that most of us never really see.
Right.
So Fiona, where do we even begin to unpack this massive machine?
Well, I think to really appreciate how far online casinos have come, we need to take a quick trip back in time.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember the first online casino launched way back in 1994? Players actually needed a CD to access the games.
Wow, a CD.
Can you believe that?
I mean, I know it was a while ago, but wow.
From those humble beginnings, the industry has transformed into a global phenomenon, projected to rake in over $132 billion by 2029.
That's a staggering number. With that kind of growth, I can only imagine the sheer scale of the operations. It's not just a few people coding games in their basement anymore, is it?
Not at all. Modern online casinos are sophisticated businesses with multiple departments working in sync. Think of it like a well-oiled machine with each part playing a crucial role in keeping the whole thing running smoothly.
Okay, so where do we start with this well-oiled machine?
Well, where do you think most players' minds go first when they think about an online casino?
The games, of course.
Mm.
It's all about the thrill of the spin, the anticipation of the cards being dealt.
Exactly.
So I guess that means we should start with the folks responsible for those games.
Yeah.
The casino product team, right?
Absolutely. They're the heart and soul of the casino, the ones who curate the entire gaming experience.
So they just pick a few popular slots and call it a day.
You might think that, but it's so much more than that.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for us. What makes this team so vital?
Well, first and foremost, they need to have a deep understanding of their target audience. What kind of games do players enjoy? What themes are trending? What features are in high demand? They're constantly analyzing data, looking at player behavior, and staying ahead of the curve to ensure they're offering a diverse and engaging selection of games.
So it's not just about personal taste. There's real strategy involved.
Definitely. The product team works closely with a whole network of game suppliers, from industry giants to niche studios constantly evaluating new releases, negotiating deals, and ensuring the casino's game library stays fresh and exciting.
I see.
Remember those early days with just a handful of basic slots and table games?
Yeah, vaguely.
Now we're talking about thousands of options, with cutting-edge graphics, innovative features, and themes that cater to every taste imaginable.
Yeah, the variety these days is pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
And what about live casinos? Those seem to be all the rage these days, offering that authentic casino feel right from your living room. Does the product team handle that as well?
Absolutely. They're responsible for curating the live casino experience, too. Everything from selecting the right streaming providers to ensuring the dealers are engaging and professional. It's all about recreating that immersive atmosphere you get in a brick-and-mortar casino, with high-definition streaming multiple camera angles and interactive chat features.
I can definitely see the appeal. Speaking of recreating a real-life experience, let's talk about another major part of many online casinos, sportsbooks.
Sure.
For many players, it's all about the thrill of betting on their favorite teams and events. What can you tell us about the product team behind the sportsbook?
The sportsbook product team, well, that's a whole different ball game, literally.
Uh-huh. I see what you did there.
They work hand in hand with a specialized team of odds makers, risk management experts, and traders.
So these are the folks who determine the odds for every sport, every game, every possible outcome you can bet on.
That's-
Talk about pressure.
It is. They're constantly analyzing data crunching numbers, factoring in variables like team performance, player injuries, even the weather, to come up with the most accurate odds possible.
I bet one wrong move could cost the company a lot of money.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of expertise and pressure involved.
It's almost like they're playing the stock market, but with sports as their assets.
You could say that.
And I've heard that sometimes sportsbooks actually recruit successful players to join their odds-making teams. Is there any truth to that?
It's definitely a growing trend. Think about it. Who better to predict the outcomes than those who have consistently beaten the odds themselves?
No point.
These players bring a unique perspective. and an intuitive understanding of the game that can be invaluable to a sportsbook.
So from a player's perspective,
Hmm.
it's almost like a compliment to get headhunted by the people you were winning against.
Exactly. It's a testament to their skills and knowledge of the game. They understand the nuances, the psychology, the factors that go beyond the basic stats. It's like having an insider's perspective on the action.
Now, behind all these talented product teams, there's got to be a solid management structure in place. What can you tell us about the executives and how their role has evolved over time?
You're right. The management and executives play a critical role in setting the overall direction of the company. Back in the early days, you often had founders and pioneers who built the industry from the ground up. They were very hands-on, deeply involved in every aspect of the business, from marketing to HR, product development, you name it.
This is a much smaller, more tightly knit operation.
Precisely. As the industry has matured and exploded in size, the role of executives has become more strategic. They're focused on the big picture. Market trends, expansion strategies, mergers and acquisitions, and of course, maximizing profitability for investors.
Makes sense. But I imagine that shift has created a bit of a disconnect between the executives and the day-to-day operations.
There's definitely a risk of that. It's a challenge for any company as it grows larger, maintaining that close connection between the top brass and the people on the front lines who are interacting with players and dealing with the nitty-gritty.
And that disconnect could lead to some problems down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. When executives lose touch with the realities of day-to-day operations, it can lead to poor decision-making, misaligned priorities, and a decline in employee morale. It's a delicate balance that successful companies are constantly working to maintain.
Speaking of potential problems, let's talk about the legal side of
Hmm.
things. I can only imagine how complex compliance and regulations must be for online casinos.
Huh.
What's it like for the legal department?
Let's just say the legal team doesn't get much sleep.
I bet.
They are absolutely vital to any online gambling operation. They're responsible for ensuring the company operates within the law at all times, which is no easy feat in this highly regulated industry.
So what kind of areas are we talking about here? Give us a glimpse into their world.
Oh, it's a wide range. Licensing and regulatory compliance is a huge part of it. Each jurisdiction has its own set of rules and regulations, and the legal team has to stay on top of all of them, making sure the casino is in compliance with everything, from player verification procedures to responsible gambling guidelines.
It sounds like a pretty demanding job. Lots of pressure to get things right.
Absolutely. And we haven't even touched on things like marketing regulations, customer disputes, data protection laws, and the ever-present threat of potential litigation. They're dealing with a mountain of paperwork, constantly staying up to date on the latest legal developments and trying to anticipate potential pitfalls before they even arise.
And I imagine the stakes are pretty high if they make a mistake.
You bet. We've seen numerous cases where online gambling companies have received multi-million-dollar fines for compliance failures. So the pressure is definitely on to dot every I and cross every T.
Speaking of pressure,
Hmm.
I'm guessing there's often some tension between the legal department and the marketing folks. Right?
Obviously.
After all, marketing wants to push boundaries, make bold promises, and attract new players, while legal has to make sure everything stays within the lines.
It's a classic clash of cultures. The marketing team wants to shout from the rooftops about big wins and exciting promotions, while the legal team is always there to remind them about responsible gambling guidelines and the fine print.
Sounds like a delicate balancing act. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already, from the excitement of the games to the pressure cooker world of legal compliance.
We have.
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive into more of the key departments that keep those online casinos running.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's a tough job for sure.
Speaking of excitement, let's shift gears and talk about the folks who are always trying to bring in those new players, the marketing and advertising team. Fiona, how has their role evolved alongside the industry's explosive growth?
You know, in the early days of online casinos, marketing was a bit like the Wild West. Anything went. It was a time of rapid growth and experimentation. Imagine a world where almost every marketing email sent was actually opened.
Wow.
And affiliates could drive traffic just by plastering the word casino everywhere.
Sounds like a marketer's dream come true. No wonder the industry took off so quickly.
It was a simpler time for sure, but those days are long gone. The online gambling landscape is incredibly competitive now, and the regulations surrounding advertising are much stricter. Today's marketing teams have to be a lot more strategic and data-driven.
So it's not just about flashy banners and catchy slogans anymore.
Not at all. They're relying heavily on data analytics,
So
targeted campaigns, and sophisticated tracking tools to reach the right audience with the right message at the right time.
I see.
They're constantly testing and refining their strategies, trying to figure out what works best within the ever-tightening
It
restrictions.
sounds like a constant game of cat and mouse.
Yeah,
Trying to stay ahead of the curve while staying compliant must be a real challenge.
it is.
But that's what makes it so interesting, right?
Exactly. It's a fast-paced, constantly evolving field. They have to be incredibly creative to come up with campaigns that stand out from the crowd, while also adhering to all the rules and regulations.
Well, creativity is certainly important when it comes to attracting new players. But what about keeping those players happy once they're in the door? That's where customer support comes in, right?
Absolute.
Tell us about the folks on the front lines, dealing directly with players and handling their questions and concerns.
Customer support is absolutely crucial to the success of any online casino. They're the human face of the brand, the ones who interact with players on a daily basis. They handle everything from technical issues and payment problems to questions about game rules, bonus offers, and account management.
So they have to wear a lot of hats.
They do. It's a demanding job that requires a lot of patience, empathy, and a genuine desire to help people.
I imagine it can be quite challenging at times, especially when dealing with frustrated players who might have lost a bet or encountered a technical glitch.
Yes, you have to be able to stay calm under pressure, think on your feet, and find solutions quickly. And it's not just about resolving issues, it's about building relationships with players, creating a positive experience,
Yeah.
and making them feel valued.
And it's even more challenging now with the stricter KYC regulations in place, right?
You're right. KYC stands for Know Your Customer. And these regulations require online casinos to verify the age and identity of their players, check their source of funds, and monitor for any suspicious activity. That could indicate money laundering or fraud.
I see.
It's all about promoting responsible gambling and preventing criminal activity.
So customer support has to be extra vigilant these days, balancing player satisfaction with due diligence and making sure the casino is operating within the law.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance, but a crucial one. They're the gatekeepers in a way, ensuring that the casino is a safe and secure environment for everyone.
Speaking of keeping players happy, let's not forget about the high rollers, the VIPs who bring in a significant chunk of revenue. Tell us about the team that caters to their every need and makes them feel like royalty.
Ah, the VIP department. Now we're talking about the world of personalized service. Exclusive perks and red carpet treatment. These are the folks who build relationships with the casino's most valuable players, making them feel appreciated and encouraging them to keep coming back for more.
It sounds like a pretty glamorous job. Wining and dining high rollers, attending exclusive events,
Yeah.
showering them with gifts and bonuses.
It can be quite glamorous at times, but it's also a lot of hard work. They need to have a deep understanding of their VIP players' needs and preferences, anticipate their requests, and always go the extra mile to exceed expectations.
And with online casinos unable to offer traditional comps like free rooms and meals,
Yeah.
how do they reward their VIPs?
That's a great question. They've had to get creative.
Okay, so what do?
Think personalized gifts, birthday bonuses, exclusive access to tournaments and events with big prize pools, higher withdrawal limits, faster payouts, and even dedicated account managers who are available 204/7 to cater to their every whim.
Sounds like they pull out all the stops to keep those high rollers happy. Now behind all the glitz and glamour of the games and the VIP treatment, there's a whole team of tech wizards working tirelessly to keep everything running smoothly. Tell us a bit about the IT department and the crucial role they play.
The IT department is often the unsung hero of the online casino world. They're the ones who keep the whole operation running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I bet they don't get much sleep.
They're responsible for everything from website development and maintenance to server management, security, and payment processing.
It sounds like a massive responsibility. They're the backbone of the entire operation, right?
Absolutely. They're the ones who ensure the website is fast, reliable, and user-friendly. They handle all the technical aspects of game integration, making sure the games load quickly and run smoothly on all devices. They implement security protocols to protect player data and financial transactions from cyber attacks. And they're constantly monitoring systems, troubleshooting issues, and implementing updates to keep everything running like a well-oiled machine.
It sounds like a high-pressure job, especially with the ever-present threat of hackers and cyber criminals trying to exploit any vulnerability.
Definitely. They're on the front lines of the cybersecurity battle, constantly vigilant against DDoS attacks, malware, and phishing scams. They work closely with security experts and software providers to implement the latest security measures and ensure the casino is a fortress against any threats.
Now, you talked about the games, the players, the marketing, the security, but what about the money itself? Tell us about the finance and payments team and the complex world they navigate.
The finance department is like the central nervous system of the online casino, handling all the money that flows in and out of the system.
That sounds like a lot of responsibility.
It is. They're responsible for managing player deposits and withdrawals, processing payments to suppliers and affiliates, reconciling accounts, and ensuring compliance with all financial regulations.
Sounds like a lot of number crunching and spreadsheet juggling.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. They have to be incredibly organized, detail-oriented, and have a deep understanding of financial systems and regulations. And their job has become even more complex in recent years, with the rise of cryptocurrencies and other alternative payment methods.
I never really thought about how many different payment methods online casinos have to support these days. It's not just credit cards and bank transfers anymore, is it?
Not at all. Players are demanding more options, more flexibility, and faster transaction times. So the finance team has to stay on top of the latest technologies and security protocols to ensure all transactions are processed smoothly, securely, and in compliance with anti-money laundering regulations.
It sounds like they have to be experts in everything from traditional banking to the intricacies of blockchain technology.
Exactly. They're constantly learning, adapting, and evolving to meet the changing demands of the industry.
Fiona, as we go through all these different departments, it really strikes me how interconnected they all are. It's not just a collection of separate teams. It's a web of interdependent functions, all working together to create that seamless online casino experience.
You're absolutely right. It's a fascinating ecosystem.
Think about it. Marketing brings in the players. Customer support keeps them happy. The VIP team caters to the high rollers. IT keeps the platform running smoothly. And finance manages the flow of money. And at the heart of it all are the games themselves, curated by the product team to provide endless entertainment.
It really is a team effort, isn't it?
It's really quite impressive when you think about it. All these different departments with specialized skills and expertise coming together to create a virtual world where people can escape, have fun, and maybe even win some money.
And we haven't even touched on some of the other crucial departments, like fraud prevention, responsible gambling, and compliance. There are so many dedicated people working behind the scenes to make sure everything runs smoothly, securely, and ethically.
It's truly mind-boggling. Fiona, I think we've covered an incredible amount of ground today. From the history of the industry to the inner workings of each department, we've really pulled back the curtain and given our listeners a glimpse into the world behind those flashing banners and spinning slots.
It's been my pleasure, Russell. I always enjoy sharing my insights and helping people understand this fascinating and often misunderstood industry.
Well, we've taken you on quite a journey today, haven't we? But before we wrap things up, I want to hear from you, our listeners. What surprised you the most about the inner workings of online casinos? Which department do you think has the most demanding job? Head over to our social media channels and let us know your thoughts.
We always love hearing from you. And speaking of teams, there's one department we haven't touched on yet that plays a critical role in maintaining the integrity of the entire operation.
Which is?
The fraud prevention team.
Oh, that's right. You hear about online scams and fraud all the time. I bet that department has its hands full.
They do.
What kind of challenges do they face?
Well, they're constantly on the lookout for any suspicious activity that could indicate bonus abuse, identity theft, payment fraud, or even collusion between players.
So they have to be like detectives.
You could say that. They use sophisticated software and algorithms to analyze player data, looking for patterns and anomalies that might raise red flags.
So it's kind of like a high-tech detective agency tracking down digital clues.
Yeah.
And preventing criminal activity.
Exactly. They work closely with payment processors, security experts, and even law enforcement agencies to investigate potential fraud and take action to protect the casino and its players.
Wow, so they have their work cut out for them.
They do. They're also responsible for implementing measures to prevent money laundering, ensuring the casino complies with all relevant regulations and reporting requirements.
It sounds like a crucial role safeguarding the integrity of the entire operation. Now, we've talked a lot about the business side of things, but we can't forget about one of the most important aspects of the industry, responsible gambling.
Of course.
Tell us about the team that focuses on promoting safe and healthy gambling habits.
The responsible gambling team is dedicated to ensuring that players have a positive and safe experience. They work to educate players about the risks associated with gambling, provide tools and resources for setting limits and managing their gameplay, and offer support to those who might be struggling with problem gambling.
So it's not just about profits. There's a genuine concern for the well-being of the players.
Absolutely. Reputable online casinos understand that their long-term success depends on creating a sustainable and responsible gaming environment.
That's good to hear.
The responsible gambling team works closely with customer support VIP managers and even game developers to promote responsible gambling practices across all aspects of the operation. They also collaborate with external organizations and charities to provide support and resources to players who need it.
That's really encouraging to hear.
Mm.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive, there's one final department I want to touch on: compliance.
Okay.
We talked about the legal team earlier,
Sure.
but what's the difference between legal and compliance?
That's a great question. While the legal team focuses on ensuring the casino operates within the letter of the law, the compliance team is all about fostering a culture of ethical behavior and responsible conduct throughout the organization.
I see.
They develop and implement internal policies and procedures, conduct audits and risk assessments, and provide training to employees on everything from data protection to anti-bribery measures.
So they're like the ethical guardians of the casino, making sure everyone is playing by the rules
Yeah.
and upholding the highest standards of integrity.
Exactly. They're the ones who set the tone and create a framework for responsible and ethical decision-making at all levels of the organization.
Well, Fiona, this has been an incredibly enlightening deep dive. We've gone from those humble beginnings with CD-ROM casinos to the complex, multifaceted industry we see today.
It's come a long way.
It's amazing to think about all the different departments and specialized roles that go into creating that seamless online casino experience we often take for granted.
It really is.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this journey behind the curtain as fascinating as we did. It's easy to get caught up in the thrill of the games, but it's important to remember that there's a whole world of expertise, hard work,
Yeah,
and ethical considerations that go into making those games possible.
absolutely. It's an industry that's constantly evolving, adapting, and striving to create a safe, secure, and entertaining experience for players around the world.
Fiona, as always, it's been a pleasure picking your brain. Thanks for sharing your insights with us today.
The pleasure was all mine, Russell. Always happy to delve into the intricacies of the online casino world.
And to our listeners, don't forget to subscribe to Gambling Flow, like this episode, and share it with your friends. If you have any questions or comments, head over to our social media channels and let us know. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, happy gaming.